Krista, quickly, announce the date. Quickly.
September 12th.
What are you eating?
A Nutter Butter. I didn't eat before I came here.
What's a Nutter Butter for our international viewers?
It's a peanut butter cookie.
And that's because you forgot
Shaped like a peanut.
You forgot to eat before doing the news.
I did. I had a cup of coffee this morning.
So this is going to be an extra low energy level 1 news. There's no news this week either, which is super frustrating.
I mean, there's some, but obviously there's some because we're here.
The things that dominated the headlines this week are not things we want to talk about. Not necessarily technologically inclined. Now, we talked about Stop Bezos, and we teased a real example of corporate welfare, and we have it. What acronym could we come up for a bill to stop this kind of thing?
AT&T.
What does that stand for?
Advancing Telecommunications and Telecom.
Anti-telecom tantruming. Well, what they're doing here, or they've done it. It's been done. Is promising things, taking money for said promises, and not delivering.
It didn't start with the 96 Telecommunications Act, but things got real egregious in 1996, and then from then forward, it's just been crazy. This is recent, though. AT&T and other telecommunications companies have nabbed billions in tax breaks, and in exchange for that, they're like, "Look, we're running up against a wall with our infrastructure. We got to upgrade our infrastructure. We don't think we need net neutrality in law, but we got these magical things planned for our network upgrades and our backhaul and our last mile customers. Oh, we got so many customers in that last mile, especially those rural customers. We're going to have to employ so many people to get out there to get to those rural customers." And now, nothing.
Well, actually, less than nothing. They're laying people off. They also talk about how when they negotiate these kinds of things, they will take routine costs and they'll go to the government and be like, "Look, we need some tax breaks. Look at all these expenses we're going to add." But they were going to do it anyway. And in one case, they promised bonuses to their employees, and the employees did get those bonuses. But they had already negotiated with the union to grant those bonuses. So that was going to happen no matter what, but we gave them tax dollars for the bonuses. So, yeah.
It's if lobbyists or politicians actually want to understand what's going on here, they could look at small and boutique telecom providers like that one in Tennessee. The one in Tennessee's done a really good job because it's not really municipal, it's kind of private, but they've done a good job managing what meager resources they have in providing service. Vermont, there's a lot of ISPs in rural Vermont that have figured out really innovative ways to provide high-speed service to their customers. We need that kind of innovation.
I love how you say it's like, if lawmakers want to take a look at this.
As if they do.
Yeah. Their pockets are being lined. That's why this happens in the first place. They got re-election campaigns that need funded.
They're busy in the Hamptons drinking pills. And,
I really wish it would get politicians off their butt if it's like, look, do you want America to be like Australia? Because that's where we're headed.
Oh my God, they would love that.
Yeah.
That's
no guns, no internet.
Yeah. Let's just step
Everything
on our
costs
people.
too much.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a perfect world in their idealism. So you know what? I moved the microphone.
Oh, now they have to hear you wrestle around with it.
Well,
probably okay. You got a new cable, so hopefully it's less
better
background noise.
A lot of people love to talk about how much they hate Trump. And this is another great example of unintended consequences. Because the tariffs have been in the news. That's the big news we don't want to talk about, stuff like that. But these tariffs, I think a lot of people don't realize exactly how they're going to affect them. But a lot of people are about to realize.
Apple is saying that a lot of their products, the watch and the AirPods and other stuff, are going to be hurt by these tariffs. And, Trump tweeted about this, and he said, "Great, manufacture it in America." That was his response.
I mean...
He's not wrong. I think he's being a little starry-eyed into thinking that will ever happen.
They'll just leave.
Now, they talk about here what they're going to do just to bring this home. This is going to be a line item when you buy something from the Apple Store. So you buy your iPhone, and it's like, hey, what is this line? And that's where they're going to explain it to you. That's the tariff.
So that will put political pressure on making the tariff go away because the citizenry is like, what is happening?
Yep.
That's the idea.
One of the ways
The end.
that Apple aims to shape political speech. And what are the other ways?
banning apps. Alex Jones is insane, but this sets a dangerous precedent.
Alex Jones. Now, Apple had previously banned him from something, right? But this is the entire Infowars line of apps and services.
It was the Spotify app banned him, which is not.
Well, almost
Apple.
everybody has banned him at this point.
Yeah.
But Apple, now a lot of those were his personal social media accounts, but this is his business, Infowars. Now remember when he was blocked from a series of services, his apps became wildly popular.
Yeah.
They became more popular than CNN. So now it's like, oh, you want to try to take that route? No.
You think maybe it was banned only because it became popular? Because he's playing a character. Like, he's not actually that insane. He just appears to be that insane.
They mentioned. So here's the ruling.
Good job.
They claim that he violated this content that is offensive, insensitive, upsetting, intended to disgust, or in exceptionally poor taste.
Are they going to get rid of all the fart apps then?
That reads like the Saudi Arabia thing that's
That's
illegal.
very similar.
Yeah.
And it's very subjective. So, who decides? And in this case, Apple themselves decide.
And also, Krista has a good point because
There's a lot of like gross out apps where it's like, just plays burping noises or farting noises,
kids love that.
Yeah.
Kids love Infowars.
But I mean.
The one they always point back to, and I suppose this is pretty disgusting, but it is his, he will often claim that school shootings didn't actually happen. So that parents of dead kids have to hear that they're crisis actors and their kids aren't really dead. So, but it's not something that should happen. We should, as a society, we should be able to recognize these things for what they are and either ignore them, or if you want to consume it, fine. It's free speech. But of course, at the same time, it's up to Apple what they put on their store, I guess.
It's frustrating. It's a difficult issue to cope with.
It doesn't affect me at all. I'm able to not care about this at all because I won't use Apple products. So, hey, that's the way to do it.
Even before the Android stuff. Androids or Google Play.
I'm going to burn my Apple products in the backyard.
It will be really funny if Google Play bans those kind of apps because there's the store is just not even curated. It is mostly garbage in Google Play.
Yeah.
That is a strange hill for them to die on.
There'll be somebody just ripping all of Alex Jones' videos from YouTube, making their own app, selling it for $1.
And that will be fine.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we reviewed this. It's totally okay. And it's like, Google, what are you smoking?
Well, Apple might lose a few customers from this. Probably not. But what they also might lose that's more disconcerting to them, I'm sure, is their number one status.
Amazon is, I don't know if we reported that Amazon became the second $1 trillion company.
I don't think it happened before last filming.
Well, you don't? I thought it was briefly, and then it went back down, and then it's gone up again.
I don't think we reported on it, but
I don't know. Well, Amazon is growing faster than Apple is growing, so Apple will probably be a larger $1 trillion company before.
And they have market cap of $1 trillion.
Yeah, that
is a lot of money. Do you think the Stop Bezos Act will cut into that enough to bring it back under $1 trillion?
I see that one article didn't mention that all of the Amazon employees get stock, but at the same time, Amazon is looking to hire contractors and things like that, so that people are not really Amazon employees. Because Microsoft did that early on. I mean, when Microsoft was really small, even the people that were like doing software packaging had really modest stock options, and pretty much all of those people became millionaires.
Amazon has more money than sense, more news at 11.
But they're also doing remember their little program where it's like, do your own delivery company. We'll help.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't count.
Yeah, you would not get, it's like you have your own company, not stock in Amazon. So, but I don't know if the stock in Amazon is actually contributing significantly to the compensation package of the poorly paid.
What if, now here's governmental unintended consequences. You crush the stock price of Amazon with Stop Bezos and bankrupt all of the package pickers in the process. They all have to go on government assistance.
There are some people that depend on that stock dividend for just day-to-day necessities. I mean, that is a thing. We know that's true.
Well, Bloomberg, apparently, I didn't know that Captain Obvious was now writing for Bloomberg News.
YouTube and Netflix videos are found to be slowed by wireless carriers. Verizon is, of course, mentioned by name. But yeah, these are the same companies that say that net neutrality is fine and that, there's no such thing as an unlimited wireless plan anymore. The article sort of mentions that when asked for comment, the carriers are like, oh, well, we'll throttle them for network conditions and blah, blah. And it's like, it's BS. It's 100% BS because you buy X number of gigabytes. They just don't want people to run out after 3 minutes of Netflix streaming, which should tell you something about how realistic those caps actually are.
So you wonder, how do you know this? And it turns out there's an app. What's it called? Like Weehoo or Weehee?
Weehee.
I think that's Weehee. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. But there's this guy, he wrote an app called Weehee that tracks this kind of thing. And he is sort of the only voice that can measure this now that the FCC doesn't care anymore. And according to him, everybody's doing it. Now, this was Bloomberg. They reached out to the various companies that were accused of this, and they didn't deny it. But they said they only do traffic shaping, and they don't target individual streams, like Netflix or YouTube in particular.
Or Twitch, or.
But you would imagine that, they're looking at where the most traffic is coming from, and it's those places. So, yeah, maybe it's not hard-coded to go after Netflix and YouTube, but it amounts to the same thing.
It's a very disingenuous answer. You can also make this go away by using a VPN. But again, because there's not anything as a truly unlimited wireless package and the data caps are tiny, what good does it do?
Nothing. You're helpless.
Yeah. Makes me sad.
If only there was an acronym we could come up with to stop these people. Well, here we go. You knew it was coming. We couldn't not do this week, right? This is the biggest story of the week if you're anywhere close to technology.
And it really shouldn't be, but
and that
here we are.
is the fact that Elon Musk took a hit off of Joe Rogan's blunt.
We should invite Timothy B. Lee, the author of this article, on to the Level 1 News. Just be like, how much hate mail did you get? Because we get a lot of angry comments that it's like, you guys are half informed, and it's like, I'm sure that he's gotten a lot of email that's like, you're a part of the problem. What is happening?
I don't really understand the hullabaloo around this. It was a legal state. And yeah, whatever. I don't really like weed, but he's a grown man.
It's that drug war propaganda, man. I mean, he was drinking too, but no one mentions that.
Yeah.
Because that's totally fine. But that's that evil weed.
And he's got so many other problems that, him smoking weed is just like one tiny grain of sand on the giant hill.
That's the thing. Right alongside this, the next day, the HR executive and what was the other, accounting or something?
There were two of them, yeah, who disappeared.
They're gone.
Yeah. The one guy, he was like a marketing or, public relations type guy. His job started the day before the cave thing, the Thai boy thing.
Comments. He was like, I can't fix this, I'm out.
Yeah, so it's only been that long, and he was like, I'm done. I can't do it. I'm sorry. And then the HR person, I think, because they were getting a lot of internal complaints and stuff like that.
No, one of those two people had been on leave already for a long time, and they were just like, you know what, I'm not coming back.
Yeah. So that's bad news. The stock price, they lost $3 billion notional, 6%. And it was a bad day. And a lot of people, I think, are, the correlation is not causation. They're blaming it on him smoking the blunt.
But it's like, I think that might be other things that are contributing.
Well, also, I mean, how many Fortune 500 CEOs are on prescribed pharmaceuticals?
Oh, my God. Yes.
Or unprescribed.
Or just straight up cocaine. Yeah. Cocaine and hookers, I bet, is a big thing for, the top 5% paid company CEOs and that kind of thing. Now, I have not. Did you watch the Joe Rogan podcast?
I haven't watched it.
I watched part of it, yeah.
I have not, because I'm not a big fan of Musk, and I don't really hear him talk. And I hear that Joe Rogan really softballed him during the whole thing.
He really softballed him, but he didn't let him get away. You know how Musk does the hand wavy thing and starts talking about something else? Rogan did a really good job sort of corralling him back into talk about whatever it was he asked him about instead of what Musk wanted to talk about.
Yeah, Rogan is really good at that. But I was totally disappointed. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but I've not heard any reports that Musk made him answer about the pedo complaints.
I don't think that was part of it, but I haven't made it all the way through.
I'm very disappointed in Joe for that. He should have brought that up. But fortunately, Musk himself brought it back up. And
that's probably why that guy quit.
Yeah, in a off-the-record email.
This was crazy because he sent an email and he's like, off the record, blah, blah, blah. And then he just goes on and on ranting about the guy's a child rapist. The diver guy. And it was like, that conversation was not previously agreed to be off the record. But I don't know.
It's
not even doubling down. It's like tripling down, quadrupling down.
Yeah, we did this story last week.
Yeah, he keeps saying it.
Somebody in the comments accused us once again of being misinformed and like, it's not really how you said. He didn't really say those things. And then the next week he says it even worse.
Yeah.
This was an email. So I don't know if it was the Market Watch article. I read like 5 or 6 articles about this, trying to just make sure because paranoia. And the emails from Musk are just really not things that should have ever been in an email, even on the record or off the record. I mean, Jesus Christ.
He didn't come right out and say that man is a child rapist. But he did use the phrase child rapist in a way that could be construed he was talking about that guy specifically. He also said they didn't have the balls to sue him. That guy's lawyer says that's incorrect.
We do, in fact, have the balls to sue you, sir.
So, yeah, I'm sure we'll hear more about that.
Which, I mean, I doubt Musk even cares. He's got more money than sense, so he's probably just hoping to make it go away.
Oh, if he didn't care, he wouldn't be doing this.
That's true.
I don't remember if it was, you ever think about like people that are old money wealthy and people that are new money wealthy? Elon Musk is new money wealthy.
Oh, yeah. He has no idea
how things are done in these circles.
Oprah is new money wealthy.
Yeah. She's got no class. Well, you know who is old money wealthy? Goldman Sachs. Now, in the wake of the whole...
Here come the racist comments.
Because of Oprah? No, there's an article on Harper's Bazaar about Oprah's day. Go read it. And then tell me that that's not the most pretentious thing you've ever read.
So Goldman Sachs, the subject of our Patreon podcast too.
Yeah.
So.
The funding secured tweet, when that happened, and like
420, obviously
everything burst into flame. Tesla hired Goldman Sachs to be like, hey, help us figure out a way to get this funding. And I think what they came back with was like, you can't do this.
No, it's not.
So for a while, Goldman Sachs, because of a conflict of interest, could not report on the Tesla stock. They could not give suggestions. Oh. That has now expired, and the news is not good.
$210 is what Goldman Sachs has pegged the Tesla stock at. It is currently trading around $286 at the time of this recording.
JP Morgan said it at $195.
Whoa.
So yeah, woo. A lot of the big analysts are saying that bad times for Tesla. And, you know, partly, of course, it's because Musk is insane and he should just stop. Just stop doing whatever you're doing.
Just stop tweeting.
Stay out of the public eye. Let this thing happen. But also because Tesla has not had a big competitor yet. Like the other car companies are not doing a good job of making their electric cars competitive and sexy. But that might also be about to change.
Mercedes has unveiled its first Tesla rival in a $12 billion attack. Mercedes said that they're going all in on electric and that electric is coming, but there's not really a lot of details here. I'm skeptical until I see, you know.
There's a picture right there. Look how happy all those people are.
I've seen mock-ups before.
Yeah.
They have not set a price on this thing officially. But it's a Mercedes. You'd expect it to be fairly expensive. It is going to have a range of 280 miles versus I think like 240 for the Model S. I don't know what the Model 3 has.
Less.
But this is definitely going to be a Model S competitor, not a Model 3 competitor, because it's going to be expensive. But yeah, they're saying that Mercedes is saying we recognize that gasoline engines are going to be around forever. In fact, they're going to make them illegal in like 2030 in some countries, I think. So yeah, we're going hard into electric, and this is our first attempt. It's pretty.
It's pretty.
The greatest thing about that,
wait for benchmarks.
Because it's a Mercedes, you are not legally required to use your turn signal. That's the most convenient. I mean, you pay for convenience, but hey, how great is that? Well, you know, this is not surprising, and they've done it before. But I think a lot of people, a lot of people who are sort of like going for the least worst option, the evil they know, are going to be upset.
So Microsoft has, quote unquote, confirmed that Windows 7 is going to have a new monthly charge if you want security updates past its end of life day. Now, Microsoft has always said that Windows 7 is going to hit end of life. But for corporate customers, in the past, Microsoft has let you spend a bunch of money and continue to receive security patches and security updates for an obsolete operating system, even past its sunset date. So this is some type of extension to individual customers as well for a monthly charge. But I'll tell you right now, Microsoft has basically already abandoned Windows 7 from a security standpoint, and it is a second-class citizen compared to Windows 10 security, which is also, by comparison, not great, but Windows 7 is terrible.
Now, a lot of people, and we talk about Elon Musk, a lot of people think that he will ultimately be the ultimate fall from grace story, that it's all going to come crashing down, and he's going to be just the laughing stock of the technology world because he took this empire, this amazing thing, he was everybody's hero, and he's going to lose it all. Maybe, maybe not. I would say probably not. But if it does happen, there's a template of what that's going to look like.
Blood testing company Theranos will dissolve and pay creditors.
Everybody remember Theranos? It was run by like this
Elizabeth Holmes.
Yeah, she was like, I don't know, Forbes 30 under 30, like
she dropped
female
out,
billionaire.
She
insanity.
dropped out of Yale and then it was like, oh, she's Steve Jobs. She's Bill Gates.
She's even wearing like black turtlenecks in a lot of the pictures
she was
you
the
see of her.
female Steve Jobs, yeah. And she's kind of pretty, and she's got those crazy eyes, and everybody was in love with her. They don't have any great pictures here.
No, just videos.
But she was the darling, and it was 100% fraud. So yeah, it's finally, the stock price will go to zero. There will be nothing left of Theranos, and the unsecured creditors will get royally screwed.
Although the article does say that the creditors are going to be paid, just not what they are owed.
No, they have
So
80 million
not paid
outstanding and 10 million in assets.
Yeah. So you get...
It's a little bit of a haircut, isn't it?
A little bit. It's a little bad.
Now, our next story we've reported on already in the government section, but there's a technological aspect to it as well.
I didn't realize that these were two separate stories, and I don't know why I didn't. But one was more about the skin color. It shows you how, this is TechSpot. I don't remember who the other one was, but it's like
The Intercept.
One news site got outraged about one thing, and the other one got outraged by a different thing. They're both pretty outrageous.
We include both because it's honestly a good read. It's good to have some different perspectives, but also unintended consequences. I mean, who would say that the New York police having body cams, for example, is a bad thing? I mean, you can audit police activity in public. You can see the interactions with the public. How could you possibly turn that into a bad thing? And then it's like, well, that footage never goes away. It's available forever. And incorporated with that footage is a lot of other footage from CCTV cameras, traffic cameras, all this kind of stuff. That's what went into IBM, a private company, not a government entity, went into their database. And we as citizens don't have any input or oversight into how that data would be used or monetized. There's no accountability. There's no transparency. There was no, hey, can we take this thing in the government space and use it in the private space? Is everybody who's in here, or New York citizens, okay with this?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Do you think, so, just to go back to the skin color one, I imagine that they're going to get some kind of like RGB or hex value that tags you as a color. So will we eventually get to a world where you get like your color tattooed on your arm or something?
It's part of your profile.
And it's part of your gang affiliation.
Well, I'm thinking
So it's like, you can't join unless you're between this range.
it'll be interesting how it deals with like interesting lighting conditions too, because having done like paintings and stuff, the shadows on your face can actually be dramatically different than what we consider like standard skin tones. It might be more purple or even green or blue or...
What about those girls that completely change their skin tone?
Oh yeah, they do all the contouring and stuff too. That could throw it off. If you're a thought, watch out. Actually, maybe that's the secret. Maybe we all need to be thoughts.
Or maybe organized crime should start hiring Instagram
Influencers.
Yeah, influencers.
The Instagram is literally going to the organized crime is literally going to look like something out of one of those like dystopian Japanese Blade Runner novels where like the people got the tattoos and the shapes and stuff painted on their face.
No, they
in weird
do.
ways.
Remember the
ICP makeup.
the AI sticker?
Yeah.
that fools it. It's like you just paint that on your face.
It's like the security camera, and this guy's a ghost. The camera doesn't pick up any humans in the area between 9 and 12 p.m. You know, what sort of crazy member of the Yakuza is this? And it's just a guy wearing a holographic sticker.
The end.
The AI was like, there's nobody here. I don't know what you're talking about.
What's a sunflower doing all of this? Well, remember the innocent world we lived in where it was a big news event and it was outrageous when an unmanned drone killed someone somewhere in the world? It's still happening constantly, but it's not worth reporting anymore. But those drones are still out there, and they're getting better and better.
Turns out there are drones that never need to land. So this is not a picture of one of those, because this drone would definitely need to land.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, they use lasers. So they're firing lasers at the drones to power them mid-flight, and they hope to get that working up to 500 meters.
Nice.
So every 500 meters, you just put a laser tower, and you can keep drones flying in a 500-meter radius of every tower.
That's going to be exciting because you can have first responder drones anywhere in the world in minutes.
Now,
Asterisk. Some restrictions apply.
I wonder how
Kentucky.
high, though. Like, what happens when a commuter plane flies through that laser?
Oh, no, they've got their own airspace above 30,000 feet.
But then you're adding another 500 meters vertically.
Oh, yeah. That's probably fine. We'll put some satellites in orbit that, shoot with lasers. It was like, never mind, people in Saskatchewan are getting cancer.
Well, it's not enough that robots and drones are conquering the skies, but it's time that they also conquered the seas.
This is the first robot that has made it across the Atlantic autonomously, which I thought was pretty exciting. And it looks tiny. It looks like a toy.
It does look like a toy.
It turns out some of the robots that have attempted this in the past were smaller or about the same size, but fishing boats and things like that have picked them up. This one avoided fishing boats and avoided being picked up. And
Couldn't you solve that just putting like a little sign on it? It's like, please don't pick me up.
you don't necessarily, like the fishing boats don't necessarily speak English.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. There was a bunch of people competing to do this, various countries and designs and stuff, and this is the one that did it first, going all the way around the world. Some of them they talked about were too big and the displacement was too much, so they get caught up in a current, and their little solar battery wasn't enough to overcome that, to like sail out of it and stuff. So that's kind of cool. They are definitely talking about making shipping lanes on the seas be automated ships. And there's probably not a ton of risk for doing that.
What about the pirates? It'd never be a better age to be a pirate than when it's all just robots.
Well, maybe, but depending on how much the pirates are going to take, you just remotely destroy it.
The Tom Hanks movie, it's like they board and there's nobody there except the Terminator.
Or, like 1 out of every 30 shipping containers is just filled with angry dogs.
All wearing backpacks.
Spiders.
Spiders.
Well, we're going to need some powerful artificial intelligence to man all these drones and, seafaring vessels and things of that nature. And the Pentagon is ready to pay for it.
$2 billion they're going to invest into artificial intelligence because they think they can make things better with artificial intelligence. And by better, I mean...
Worse for us, but better for them.
Worse for the rest of the world, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're going to do with that.
Well,
Liberate Venezuela? I don't know.
all that, I told you earlier, all that money that we take out of Bezos' pocket, going
This is
right,
where it's going.
It's right into the drone program.
Good news, everyone.
It's too bad that Amazon can't get together with the Pentagon because I'm sure the robot factory / warehouse automation would be good for automating weapons manufacturing. Seems like those things are related.
Aren't they? I think they are. I think everything that Google is having to not pick up because
Amazon's picking up.
Yeah, Amazon's just swooping in there. Them and Microsoft are like, oh, we'll do it. Yeah, we'd love to have that contract.
That is an interesting contrast. It's like Google employees have the reputation of being extremely well paid, and Amazon employees have the reputation of being extremely underpaid. And I wonder if that's some of like the people at Google are like, no, we can afford not to work on this, and the people at Amazon are like, I just had to get a second mortgage on my house. I will help the Pentagon with their AI killer robots. I mean, it's fine.
And it's going to have a knock-on effect, because all the research that Amazon does for military AI, they're going to put right back into the warehouse and cut more workers. So that's a vicious cycle. The Bernie cycle.
You must pack 7 more items. You have 30 seconds to comply.
Feeling that burn.
It's a bright future. Now, a lot of people complain that women don't have enough of a place in, IT and computer science and that type of thing. But here's a story that begs to differ. Here's a robot that only works because it wears a skirt.
Okay.
I wonder where you were going with that, because I was like, this wasn't invented by...
Yeah.
Look at the little skirt. That was the revolution here. This little blue skirt.
It's basically a badminton shuttlecock that goes inside water pipes looking for leaks, which is a big deal. It's actually a piece of technology we really need.
So they originally were trying to somehow detect a vacuum. So the robot would drive through, and where it detected more of a vacuum because water was leaking out. And no one could figure out. It's like, nah, we can't make this work. And the inventor of this thing stepped on a woman's skirt. And he just barely stepped on it. And it was like a spider web. She immediately was like, what's happening? What's happening to my skirt? And he was like, oh.
If you've never worn a skirt, that is actually if you get caught on something, it's instant. You turn around.
Yeah. So he figured that out, applied it here, and it turns out it works amazingly. The estimations here for monetary loss due to broken water mains is astonishing. 3 billion liters of water, and in India, as much as 40% of their clean water leaks. That's crazy.
They can't afford to lose clean water there.
That could be going into my Nestle bottle.
We would never, ever support Nestle.
So yeah, everybody's going to pick one of these up and Watchtower Robotics. Good job, Watchtower Robotics.
I'll have to send that article to my cousins. They're all plumbers. Maybe they'll start using them.
Now this next article, this has this episode's title in it, and I'll tell you what it is.
This hyper-real robot will cry and bleed on med students.
So this week's title, Hal was built to suffer.
His little face. Scroll up so they can see his face. I don't know if they got a good look at it. Let's switch back. He doesn't look upset there, but that's really just, the cold, sad, dead feeling before he starts crying.
He's got motors in his face, so he does get upset, more upset.
I'm upset.
He can, his tongue and esophagus can swell and block his breathing. He can cough up things. He can cry. He can bleed. He actually breathes CO2 because he's got a CO2 cylinder in one of his legs.
That's what the lungs are. I mean, that works.
And just all sorts of things can go wrong with Hal. And it's to teach you how to deal with that kind of stress when you're working with actual patients, especially children.
So this is like a very expensive game of Operation.
Kind of like that. I don't think his organs are exposed.
Does it make a noise when you touch him?
Well, he can, he can cry and, scream out in pain and stuff like that. He's very advanced.
Would that, do you think it'll have the opposite effect where it just sort of desensitizes you to it?
He's $48,000.
Woo.
They made a version that was a little bit more realistic, but some of the people just couldn't hack it. They were too freaked out. They get these first timers would come in there, and Hal was too real. But I feel like that should wash you out, don't you think?
That should be your first course in med school. You're learning anatomy 101, and then also you have to work on Hal. So if you can't handle working on Hal, maybe you should change majors.
They also talk about they're working on Victoria, who is a robot who gives birth.
Ooh.
And there was another one, Super Tori, who is a newborn that does the same kind of thing.
Oh, look at him crying there.
I guess it's really hard to get medical cadavers these days.
His
Do people
pupils
not
dilate.
give their money?
Say what?
Do people not give their money? Does that people not give their bodies for cadavers anymore?
Well, yeah, but the dead bodies can't react.
That's true.
What sort of company do you have to work for that goes about reanimating dead bodies this style. That would be a great place to work, probably.
Necromancy revolutionizes medicine. But then, if you were the family, wouldn't you sue because you're not allowing your people to rest in peace? You're bringing them back.
You gave the body to science.
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
You signed your necromancy card.
Talk about the worst betrayal. It's like you die and your kids sell your body to the necromancy school for like 10 grand, and all of a sudden you just wake up and somebody's going at you with a scalpel.
Hopefully you wouldn't be conscious. Maybe they would like install a shunt for your brain or something. But I was just thinking about life support machines, like just miniaturize that stuff and put it where your brain used to be.
You have to have an intact brainstem to be a zombie. Everybody knows that.
That's why you always take out the head.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
That was all we had. We're ending with Hal.
We'll see you on Friday for even more nonsense.